Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Her Version. This podcast is dedicated to sharing stories of struggle to triumph, a platform that allows individuals to tell their truth in order to inspire and uplift others. For those of you that are new to this podcast and like content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you follow, like, and share. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria. Let's jump right in. I am going to say that one of my favorite things in the entire world is when I see my guests just jamming during my intro. It makes me so happy. So got to notate that. Thank you so much for those of you that are jumping on live with us. This is the Her Version podcast. The Her Version platform is based on storytelling and the understanding that many times our greatest learning experiences come from listening to other people's stories. Today, I am speaking with an amazing woman named Nikki Frias. I don't think you could get a better combination than this girl. She is a hybrid of author, comedian, and coach with a sprinkle of inspiration. She is here today to share some of her journey through divorce, her first and hopefully last encounter with an asshole, or for the sake of keeping our community educated, we are going to call it what it is, a real life narcissist. She is here today to talk openly about doing what you have to do to make an escape plan, the importance of turning to a community of people you trust, and the value of telling your story. Also, buy her book. Welcome, Nikki.
Hi.
Hello, girl. How are you?
I'm good, girl. Thriving and highly favored. Feeling blessed. How are you?
I love it. It's so awesome being on camera with a woman with curly hair and the glasses.
Yes, definitely. We gotta have a little, bring a little Latina, a little something, a little spice to the party. You know what I'm saying? So
we're twinning. Right before we got on stage, those you guys missed it. We were bragging about our titties earlier. So that
titties.
Was first thing Nikki said when she got on. She's like, my titties are looking voluptuous in this.
They look like I did something, or they normally, let me stand up and they're going to fall to the ground. But in the meantime, okay.
Gotta love that camera angle.
I like it.
Looks
like I'm in the jungle too.
Behind you. I feel like I should know who's behind you.
This is my grandmother, Nicolasa Cabrera.
Oh my gosh, she looks like a movie star.
Yeah, she's pretty dope. Yeah, shout out to grandma. She's still alive. I don't know why I talk about her like she's dead. She's still alive, but this is one of my favorite pictures of her. No and shit. Just had to make it as big as possible.
She looks like a movie star. I feel like that could be sold at like Hot Topic. Like
Hot Topic, Home Goods. Someone could just pick this up.
Yes.
Yeah, I get it.
Like Selena going across her chest.
Yeah, she is the Dominican Selena Cantanilla to me. Okay.
I love it. What is her name for real?
Her name is Nicolasa Cabrera.
Oh, you were saying it.
Oh yeah, I just sound really Nicolasa Cabrera. That's her name.
That shows you how cultured I am. All right. I blame that on my
her name though? It's Annabelle Williamson. No, I'm just playing.
I love it. Well, listen, I would love to just kind of jump in, give you the stage for a little bit, and give us a rundown of your childhood, teenage years, adulthood, all of the things that led you to where you are right now, and then we'll kind of jump into a couple of questions. Is that cool?
Okay, dope. Of course, yeah.
Get it.
Hi everybody. My name is Nikki Frias. I am the author of Does This Divorce Make Me Look Fat? I'm also a writer, a office rewatcher, and comedian part-time, depending on who you ask. I always tell people I'm either a serious or a comedic writer, depending on who you ask, just because, who knows. So my journey started when I was born. I came out of my mother. No, I'm just playing. I'm not going that far back. But I really never thought writing was going to be my journey. I went to college, kind of did a super broad major. I did communications because I didn't know what else the fuck to do. And I got my degree. I got married to the same guy that I was with for 6 years at the time, because I was like, well, this is what we do. This is the next process. And then from there, I just kind of sold my soul to the devil and had a 9 to 5, and I wasn't happy. I was pretty miserable. Um, I gained like 35 pounds. I was sad, just in a constant state of depression. I wasn't happy. So what I did was I started to kind of peel back a little bit of the layers of things I wanted to do. And this is when I was married. So when I was married, I would do like acting, I would do plays, I would do stand-up comedy. And over time, I was getting so exhausted from different things that eventually I was like, okay, we can try writing, because I can do it from the comfort of my own home. I don't have to be like gassed up, exhausted. And I think I'll be able to reach a lot more people. I'm a very serious person, but I'm very serious about things that I'm passionate about. But I noticed a lot of people would trivialize kind of comedy, and I hated it. I hated that people, some people don't think that comedy's hard. Some people don't understand that it takes a lot of work for you to be able to entertain a room, and then on top of that, make them laugh.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. And, I just started to kind of like pivot. I always tell people like my journey has been a constant pivot, and it still is pivoting. So I started writing, and I was looking at I was doing a couple of like free things and here and there. Kind of, I was always so nervous that people weren't going to like my writing. People weren't going to like my writing style. Writing for me has always been a really big challenge, just because I am a firm believer that it just shows a lot about like your education and just kind of like how you've learned how to like express yourself in certain ways. So it was always kind of a barrier for me to kind of jump out there and just be like, okay, I wrote this, right? Because everybody always got some shit to say.
Yeah.
And my biggest fear was I was going to put my story or something out there, and people were going to just be like, trash, throw it in the trash can.
Yeah.
So I started writing for a couple of places that would let me do stuff for free. Meanwhile, just like in a marriage, trying to figure out and balance how to be a wife and like the changes that were going on in my relationship. And then a couple years into my marriage, my husband fucked up and he had a baby without me. I wasn't there. And I was like, oh, I got to go. I got to get up out of here. I got things I got to do.
Wait, how did you find out about this? You have to give us a little more detail than that.
Well, but
Good point.
no. So I will tell you that he told me about the affair. Okay. And then I think I truly think what happened was he knew about the baby and didn't think that it was going to happen. Right? He thought that she was going to take care of it or some reason. I don't know. And it got to a point where I think he just had to tell me because she was going to keep the baby, and she was like, get over it. So he told me, and he told me about the baby, and multiple lies after multiple lies. We eventually got to like, yeah, okay, there is a real baby in this equation, and I have to go. So I didn't have kids at the time. We didn't have a house together. So what the fuck am I doing staying around for a quinceañera that's not mine? You know what I'm saying? A birthday party I gotta pay for. A laser tag where I can't even enjoy myself. Okay. So
that's true.
Just kind of another pivot. I decided to quit my job. I saved up a good amount of money, and I moved to New York and was like, all right, I'm going to live my life. I'm going to do what my heart desires, and I'm going to pursue comedy writing in New York City. So within that year, I made a plan. I moved up to New York City, and I set a deadline of October 1st. And October 1st, I was in Brooklyn in a 1-bedroom apartment.
No shit.
So yeah, so that was kind of the beginning of me starting my journey. And I feel like people say their journey, but it was like self-love, dating, having sex with a new guy, meeting new friends, starting completely all over, because like I have some family from New York, but I didn't have any friends. You know what I mean? I left a 9 to 5 where I'm from, which is very structured, to serve tables in New York, which I actually love to do. So it was, thanks, girl, never had it. So I was kind of starting all over, and it was fucking petrifying because for a long time I was very dependent on my spouse. We had been together for 10 years. there were not things that I was comfortable doing by myself. I mean, I'm talking about walking the dog. I'm like, okay, where are we going? Like, we did everything together. So it was a brand new experience, everything I did. In New York, getting on the subway, I didn't know how to get around. So I'm like, okay, I have to do this by myself. Walking the dog, being up, taking the train at night, like kind of just being the man and the woman of myself, I guess, kind of, figuring that out. So I started working for a couple of places that were paying me $0. And a lot of my writing I was getting more comfortable with. And then I started to notice that there was a need in my industry, right? There's a lot of women, specifically women of color, that are not being represented. And it's also the problem with like, nobody wants to just publish my shit. I'm telling you, I'll write something for free. I'll promote it. We can get somebody's going to your website, and y'all don't want to do it for me. So I created the change that I wanted to see, and I created a platform called girltellme.com. It's a publishing platform where we publish all writers, whatever you want to write about. We have short stories, poems, poetry, whatever. So it started as a blog where I was just talking a little bit of shit. And then I had a couple of girlfriends that were like, I really wish I could, have a platform or something that I could put my stuff on. And I was like, fuck it, put your stuff on my site. So it's been evolving. It's still a growing thing. It's been pretty amazing. We've published like over 200 stories. And it's just a big network of women that share their stories, promote their stuff. And just like I said, it's been constant pivoting. So I first started it out as a platform of just like only writers. And then people were like, hey, you're really funny. So I was like, okay, shit, more people want to write when they laugh. So now I tell people that we are a publishing platform used to inspire through comedy. So we do that. And then
do you tell all kinds of stories?
Yeah,
like
girl, whatever people
stories,
want.
Sad stories.
Yes,
Wow.
all of them. Anybody that's interested, just hit me up, girltellme123@gmail.com. We publish stories, we promote, we give shout outs, we do everything because I want to be able to, I want to create an industry where women can share their stories, put it on a resume, and be able to have that opportunity to get a writing job because they are on a already published platform. So we have Girl Tell Me, and the more I started doing Girl Tell Me, the more people I was meeting, the more women, and I met a publisher who was like, listen, you've been talking about this book for so long, do it. So the Cappy and me, the Capricorn, I wrote it in 6 months. I set a deadline, I finished it, and this is my book.
Absolutely. How did you come up with the title? I just freaking love it. I love the title.
So it's really funny because I had this idea for this book when I was getting divorced. I even told my ex-husband about it. And I don't know. I don't know. I like a good shtick. I'm always very shticky. So I don't know. It just popped in my head one day. And I remember I was telling friends about it. And I was just like, yeah, I'm going to write a book. And it's called Does This Divorce Make Me Look Fat? And, there were times when I thought about like, maybe it's too many words, but I was like, nope. Like, I'm one of those people, I have to write everything down because I would completely forget it. But that was one of them. So I don't know. I was just playing around with it, and now we're here. And it's funny because this picture was not meant to be the cover. I hate taking pictures. I absolutely hate taking pictures. So my Kellen, my homegirl Kellen from high school was taking all the pictures. She has her own photography company. And she kept on asking me to do like different angles, and I was so annoyed. I just shoved the piece of paper in my mouth, and it turned out to be the cover. So,
oh my gosh,
here we are.
That is absolutely hilarious. Well, I freaking love it. And it suits you and everything that you are and stand for. We do have another comment. Brave, intelligent, at least he told you. I had to hear it from an outsider.
Girl, listen. The amazing thing about this book is that I'm meeting so many different women that are like, I'm on my second marriage, I'm on my third marriage, this motherfucker, da 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 da. I completely understand. It's so disappointing and so sad, and it sucks. But being on the other side, and that's what a lot of this book is about, is just kind of my healing journey, right? Like, we don't have a say on how things are told to us, and we don't have a say on how things happen to us, but we do have a say in how we process and how we move forward with the information that we have. So it does really suck that you heard about it from other people, but at a certain point, you just got to take it for what it is and just start the healing process. You know, it sucks though, but I don't want to say men ain't shit, but damn.
Where are you now, like mentally and emotionally? How long out are you, by the way?
So we got divorced 6 years ago. Mentally, emotionally, sometimes I forget that I've been married. And that was the biggest reason why I wrote this book, because my healing journey has been so interesting to me, because I've never had something so tragic happen to me and happen so fast that, like, I mean, of course we are, for that part of my life, sometimes I forget that I was married. I forget the day that we were married. I mean, it's funny because I've had it before where the 1 year anniversary of it would have been our 3 year anniversary. He texted me on the day and I didn't know what he was texting me about. Completely forgot.
Wow.
But it's also a place too of, like, when you go past your healing journey of not just like forgetting, but also like genuinely hoping that person does well. I hope she does well. I hope he does well. I hope that they are happy. You know what I mean? Like, that is where I am. I wish him nothing but love. You know what I mean? Nothing but good vibes from me. You know what I mean? I don't think it's bad vibes with him either. But the way I always explain it to people is, I think if I was to see him again, he would definitely romanticize us getting back together or something like that. But the way that I explain it is that in the short period of time that I haven't had him in my life, I've had such great experiences with other people that my frame of reference is different now. You know what I mean? Like, you can't go back when you already have had something different. So that's kind of where I am.
That's so awesome. And that's totally something that people need to hear, because a lot of times there's this lull of, this is going to be on me for the rest of my life. And if you do the correct healing and, really.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it also too needs to be acknowledged that healing never stops, right? Like, I will tell you, for me, I don't go back and mourn the relationship or things like that. But I will tell you that there are times when, I feel sad that I don't know if he's doing well, or, you know what I mean? Just having compassion for another person. And it's also too, I'm learning healing with dating now, right? I'm 33 and I'm like, fuck, like, now I'm having to tell people my favorite fucking color. I want to know what you're investing. Okay? So it's a process, you know what I mean? So it's funny, it's funky, but it's something that you just gotta constantly pivot, and you gotta go with the tide.
Yeah, 100%. So, right before you and I jumped online, I heard some commotion outside, and I was like, wonder what's going on. And then literally 30 seconds after I pressed the live button, I realized that they're doing the mowing and the cutting and the shrubbing right now.
All right.
So, okay. So just wanted to let you guys know.
Sorry, girl. It's beautiful outside.
That I'll be muting and unmuting as we go here. But Brandy's excited. Girls, tell me.
What's up, girl? What's up, Brandy? Brandy Lynn. What's up, girl?
Brandy's awesome. So as far as the dating goes, which I find this so interesting, you ran into a little bit of a interesting character.
Yes, I did. I actually did. I always like to tell people, I think in everybody's journey, I don't know, I can only talk about mine. I can't talk about other people. So if you're going to take this as your journey, girl, I don't know what to tell you. This is my journey, okay?
Yeah.
But I had never had, before I was married, a toxic ex. I never had somebody in my life that I was like, never, ever, ever, I hope to never hear from them ever again. And because I never had that, I think that I kind of struggled with boundaries and self-worth and seeing how people treated you, and acceptance and things like that. My marriage was, my ex-husband now was a very sweet man. Very, like, and I always tell people, like, he's not a bad guy. He just fucking did some stupid shit that I can't come back from, right?
Yeah.
But he's not a bad person. Our marriage wasn't the worst thing that's ever happened. You know, he was very loving, very supportive. But I did come into my first and I think only ever toxic ex. And he's in the book. He's under Brooklyn Love. But I never actually dated a narcissist before. And I feel like people throw around the term narcissist very lightly. But there were times when, I mean, I was looking it up. I was Googling it. I thought he had bipolar disorder just because I couldn't understand this person's mind. But it also taught me, like, you know, love bombing is a thing. Gaslighting is a thing. Manipulation, emotional manipulation is a thing. And while I am so happy I'm out of that relationship, it was something too that I am grateful for, because if I never had that, I would have never known, like, how bad it could be.
Yeah.
You know what I
And
mean?
to have empathy for people who are going through that. People get stuck.
Oh my God. And I always like, it's so interesting for me because I remember before the cheating happened and the baby and everything like that, for the longest I was like, I would leave. If he cheated on me, I would be out the fucking door. And then I found out he cheated on me and I was like, okay, we'll try to make it work. We'll go to therapy. We'll figure it out. We will try to make this make sense. And a big reason why I couldn't stay was because of the baby, of course. Because he lied, not even like, he just lied to me even when he was being honest. And it's kind of just like, I can't, you know. But what I will say is, with the whole situation with the toxic ex that I was with, it was one of those things where I completely lost my train of thought. Damn it.
You were talking about the narcissist at first, and then you flung back to your ex.
I don't remember, but I will say this. I will say that. Sorry. What I was gonna say is that people don't know how they would react in any situation. When I was with this toxic ex, there were times when it was physically abusive, right? It wasn't necessarily in the place of like him hitting on me every single day, like we see in every fucking Lifetime movie, but it could be just like a shove or just like a push or an aggressive way of doing things to physically scare me, right? Not letting me leave. Things like that, that I didn't think that I would ever be put in those situations. And I didn't know how to deal with it, right? Yeah. And someone from the outside would be just like, all right, fucking leave. And I'm like, I love that logic. Thank you. I never thought of that. But it was one of those things that, like, he was living in my house and he refused to leave. And I'm like, okay, well, I spent 6 G's to live here and I worked my fucking ass off to get here. So what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
And then, you know, it's kind of the logic of, well, I'm going to call the police. But okay, the police can't sit in front of my door.
Yeah.
He knows where I live and I live by myself.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people aren't really talking about, too, like, the fear that comes with these toxic relationships of getting out, because, you know, we have people who support us and love us and we are so thankful to have them, but like, y'all not gonna be sitting by the Ring camera.
Yeah.
After his ass gets there and he leaves.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be there. And you know, it's not anything against them, but there's so many other factors that come into leaving that I think that more people should acknowledge, instead of just this ideal of like, well, he scared you, you have to go.
Yeah.
It's like, well, no shit. I know I have to leave. I can't go, but I know I have to.
Yeah.
So I know we're going to talk about it a little bit more, but that's when I started to kind of slowly make a plan. I, not just being a woman, but I fucking love women. I love us. I love how smart we are. I love how strategic we are. Like, and I think so many women can relate to the fact that, like, when a woman is done, oh, she's done. Right. Yeah. And within 4 months of that relationship that I was done. I knew he was never going to be my husband. I knew he was never going to be something. And it started, we got quarantined together because living in Brooklyn in the middle of COVID was a shit show, right? And I just remember, like, I was like, I know I'm leaving. And when I leave, I'm not coming back. So I have to make this plan. And luckily I have such a supportive group of people that I love around me, that I just needed that one day, and I made a call and my friend was there the next day and I left.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And I had to lie, right? I told him, I was like, hey, I'll be back in a couple of weeks, you know? And then I intended to go back. And then I had some other girlfriends that were like, if you go back, you're just kind of continuing the cycle.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, it's, you know, when you hear those moments where you're like, shit, you're right. So I didn't go back.
Yeah.
I did not go back. And then that was it.
Wow. You know, you talk, when you and I talked previously, you know, we were talking about community and how your community and a few of your friends and stuff are the reason, or how you were able to kind of escape. And a lot of people don't necessarily have that. But I talk a lot about how, you know, you have to save yourself. And I'm saying that even to those who have a community, because you have to like take the initiative of,
Oh yeah.
you know what I mean? Like no one is going to actually cut, like no one's going to swoop into your place and be like, Nikki, let's go.
Yeah.
And like grab you and pack all your shit and put it in a truck. And nobody's going to do that. So there's, even with a community, there's a sense of you have to like be proactive.
You do. I think also too, and what I noticed was it was like a cycle, right? Like we would fight and then, you know, he would kind of think like if we made up, like, okay, we're good. And I'm like, no, like I'm still recovering from all the fucking bullet holes you put in me during that last argument, right?
Yeah.
And he was kind of just like, we're okay now, like we're good. And I'm like, absolutely, like, and I didn't explain it to him, but I was like, absolutely not. You know what I mean? Like, I know I'm gonna leave. I know I have a certain timeline because strategically, right? My lease was ending at a certain time. So I was like, oh, I'm out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was just those months coming up to it. So for a long time, even with the support of my friends being like, this isn't good. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want that life. I still had to have that moment that I was like, oh shit. If I do not leave, he's going to hurt me. Like, and I hate to say it, but the one thing that did it for me was he scared my dog.
Oh, wow.
We all have those moments, right?
Yeah.
And he scared the shit out of my dog. And after that, I just was like, you know, it's different when you affect me. Now, that is something that I have to heal from. But when you affect other things around me, that's when I really have to go. So that was kind of my catalyst. And I think sometimes people have to have those moments that kind of like shock us to be like, no, it's, you know, it isn't okay that he said that. Like, even though he did apologize. And that's how we kind of get into that cycle where like, well, he did say sorry. So, okay, we'll give him a little bit more time, you know, but it's just kind of those little bit of shocks, right?
Yeah.
And one thing I noticed too was like my physical was changing, right? I lost a lot of weight. I'd come back home and my friends are like, are you eating? And I didn't think about it till now, but it was because of the stress.
Yeah.
I wasn't eating. I was very like high strung. I didn't want to go home. So I always try to tell people that like, if you don't know, if you aren't sure, like look at the like the body doesn't lie.
That's good. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of the physicality of like, if your hair's falling out, if you don't want to eat, or if you're eating more than you normally do, if you're eating, if you don't want to take care of yourself, you feel lethargic, you feel lazy, like there is a response to something.
Yeah.
And sometimes even though we are not willing to, our minds aren't willing and our hearts are not willing to acknowledge it, your body's going to tell you either way.
Yeah, definitely. I like that. And I also appreciate you using the analogy of bullet holes, because one of the things that I used to say to my ex is I felt like he was stabbing me. I'd be like, you're stabbing me all over. And he'd always be like, you're so dramatic. Oh my God, I've never hurt you or hit you. You know, there's no blood. Like, what are you're so dramatic. But that's what it feels like. It feels like bullet holes or stabbing to my soul. And they don't really understand that, you know?
No,
it's no concept.
I will say the manipulation from the relationship I was in was very scary because so he got me at a very opportune time, right? I had been with the same person for 10 years and he was trash. Not trash, but he did some trash ass shit. So I left him. So I was in a space where I was like, what's time? Right? I could meet my husband tomorrow and things just happen like that. And, you know, we moved very quickly, right? Living in New York, kind of working my ass off. Anybody who lives there knows that like, if you're not making hella money or your daddy not paying for shit, you working
Yeah.
a lot. So, you know, he came in a place where it was like, listen, I want us to have this life together. And he was kind of saying the things that I always wanted from an emotional perspective from my marriage. And, you know, he was just giving me all the things to a point where I was extremely vulnerable, extremely open. But then
Wow.
I started to learn that he was just doing that shit so he could just throw it in my face when he's pissed off at me.
Yeah.
And, you know, it would just be really bad in fights that he would be like, I'm going to go out and cheat on you, because he knew that that was my Achilles heel, because that happened. Or I see why your husband cheated on you. And I'd be like, fuck, oh my God, oh my, you know what I mean? And I would tell my girlfriends and they're like, bitch, that's not how you talk to people. Nobody should ever say some mean shit like that to you. But I didn't,
Wow.
you know what I mean? You just,
Yeah.
you have to, so.
Yeah. You don't know until you go through it that exists, you know?
Yeah, I think that I also will tell you too that it's hard, because I even notice now, like dating new people, I'm extremely guarded and I'm working through that. But there are some boundaries there to a
Yeah.
point where it's hard for me sometimes for people to be nice. I'm like, what the fuck do you want?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And it'll just be like someone being nice, like, hey, can I do this? Or like, oh, it's, you know, let me do this for you. And I'm like, I can do that shit myself. So I don't want to punish every other man that I date.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm going through now. I'm kind of, like I said, it's always about pivoting and learning and growing. But, you know, there are scars from that abusive relationship that, like, I mean, it's been 2 years now, 2.5 years, and I'm still healing from them.
Wow.
There's still like PTSD, you know, it's
Yeah.
not nearly as much, but there was a lot of time that I had to like unlearn what somebody that I loved was telling me.
Yeah. Definitely.